This is CBN NewsWatch.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Ephraim Graham. President Trump is weighing his options on the best way to respond to Syria's use of chemical weapons against its own people. He's working to send a message to Bashar al-Assad while also avoiding an escalation into an all-out war. Jennifer Wishon is following this story for us from Washington.
As images like these are viewed around the world, innocent people, including children, gasping for air, President Trump is working with his national security team to send a message to Syria and the rest of the world that the use of chemical weapons is unacceptable and can't go unpunished.
We'll see what happens, folks. We'll see what happens. It's too bad that the world puts us in a position like that.
Key American allies are ready to back the president's action. In London, Prime Minister Theresa May's cabinet held an emergency meeting where ministers agreed on the need to take action. Later, May spoke with Trump, and the two agreed it was vital that the use of chemical weapons did not go unchallenged. French President Emmanuel Macron says his country has proof the Syrian government carried out the chemical attack, and he's also on board with possible military action. The big dilemma is how to respond.
It will probably be a short, quick, hard punch to the Assad regime, and that could be it. It all depends on how the Russians react and how the Syrians react in response.
It's a tremendously complicated situation militarily. Russian, Iranian, and Turkish forces are all operating in Syria, and American forces are also there, going after ISIS fighters. The U.S. doesn't want a military strike to widen into a bigger battle between the two sides, led by the U.S. and Russia.
We're trying to stop the murder of innocent people, but on a strategic level, it's how do we keep this from escalating out of control.
Russia is weighing its response in case America does lead an attack against its Syrian ally. A top Russian military official warned last month that a U.S. strike against Syria would draw a Russian counterstrike against both U.S. missiles and the ships launching them. And Thursday, Russia's ambassador to the UN didn't rule out the possibility of a U.S.-Russian conflict. Russia has moved its warships out of the Syrian port of Tartus to avoid a possible U.S. strike. Jennifer Wishon, CBN News, Washington.
And here's a quick look at some of the other stories we're following for you right now inside the CBN newsroom. Vice President Mike Pence is heading to Peru. He is there for a summit of the Americas. He plans to promote the U.S. as a steady trading partner. And he also is expected to urge Latin American allies to isolate Venezuela. Arizona Governor Doug Ducey has proposed a boost to teacher pay this year. He wants to increase teachers' salaries by 9%. That would be a 20% increase overall when combined with what the state promised to do last year. Arizona teachers are among the lowest paid in the U.S., and they've been protesting for weeks. President Trump wants the U.S. to rejoin the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement the president pulled out of the free trade deal during his first days in office as part of his America's First agenda. But he appears to be reconsidering as fears of a possible trade war with China surface. He's asked the U.S. officials to explore the possibility. You can always find more on these stories throughout the day at cbnnews.com. Former FBI Director James Comey compares President Donald Trump to a mafia boss in his new book. The fired FBI director says President Trump sought to blur the line between law enforcement and politics and tried to pressure him on his Russia probe. Comey claims at dinner shortly after President Trump's inauguration, he told him, "I need loyalty. I expect loyalty." Comey's book also reveals new details about his decision-making in handling the Hillary Clinton email investigation before the 2016 election. The Republican National Committee is already attacking Comey and saying he has no credibility. The White House has said it doesn't intend to comment. A Christian group is urging leaders in Washington to come up with a stricter immigration bill. Members of the Evangelicals for Biblical Immigration sent a letter to Congress detailing what they believe the bill should include to help with overall national security. They say the bill should have the following measures: build a border wall, upgrade Border Patrol and ICE staffing, end chain migration and diversity visas, put an end to sanctuary cities, add new voter verification measures in all states, and implement E-Verify to help get millions back to work. Coming up right here on CBN NewsWatch, how some Catholic congregations are attracting new believers without compromising their values. See why people are flocking to their doors when we come back. Welcome back. The Catholic Church is experiencing its worst crisis in 500 years after years of scandal. Attendance is down, especially among young adults. But one new revitalization strategy is working. And as Caitlin Burke shows us, it's something any church could use for a 21st century transformation.
The Catholic Church is known for its sacred traditions. Those traditions, however, can make the church seem resistant to change. One Philadelphia parish challenged that perception when it moved to transform along with the neighborhood it serves.
In the 60s, this neighborhood was half Jewish, half Irish or Italian Catholic. Over the course of 8 years, those families moved out, and now it's entirely African American. The synagogues left, but churches like St. Raymond's Catholic Church stuck around to welcome their new neighbors.
I think one of the things that we seek to do, and as the pastor I seek to do, is to let folks who do not have a church home know that we're a viable option.
That may seem like typical neighborhood outreach, but culturally and historically, the Catholic Church doesn't offer much to African Americans. Father Chris Walsh wanted to change that.
I like to tell people that St. Raymond's is both authentically Catholic, but then also authentically Black church experience. So it takes the best of both worlds, the history, the liturgy, the teachings of the Catholic Church, and gives it very much a Black church feel as far as music, as far as preaching style, as far as worship experience.
Walsh found it wasn't theology that needed to change, it was a congregation needing to convince their neighbors that St. Raymond's met their needs.
When the church arrived in Rome, it had to adapt some things. Paul understood that the folks in Corinth were not the same as the folks in Galatia. And so his message at times was preached in a different way. It was always the message of Christ crucified, but he found a way to make it appealing to that local community.
Author Chris Lowney uses Father Walsh and St. Raymond's as a prime example of how the Catholic Church needs to change. In his book, Everyone Leads: How to Revitalize the Catholic Church, Lowney writes that to thrive in today's world, we don't have to drink some 21st century cocktail.
What we have to learn to do is just to drink more deeply from our own first century well.
Lowney writes that the church is facing its worst crisis in 500 years.
This is a kind of a slow motion crisis for the Catholic Church. And of course, other Christian churches are suffering some of these phenomena. So in a way, I use that phrase and use those statistics early in the book as a kind of a call to action.
Lowney offers what he calls an Easter strategy. That stands for entrepreneurial, accountable, serve, transform, and reach. Looking at St. Raymond's as a model, it first established leadership teams to help manage operations, ministries, and projects. Then they gathered information about what people wanted from their walk with Christ and how the church could meet those needs. After analyzing that data, they made any changes necessary. St. Raymond's serves the neighborhood with a Catholic school, providing families a safe place for their children to learn. Philadelphia's public schools are some of the most violent and lowest performing in the country. Longtime parishioners felt St. Raymond's once depended on church welfare. Low attendance meant borrowing money to keep the doors open. Now, thanks to the cultural transformation, complete with music and decorations, people travel from other parishes to help pack the pews each Sunday. Pastor Walsh believes when it comes to reaching millennials, encouraging their involvement differs from past generations.
As a church, we have to realize that it's not going to be on our terms. You know, they're not going to commit to teaching Sunday school every Sunday morning at 11 o'clock. However, they might come once a month, and they might be really phenomenal and really offer something. They might not come to Wednesday night Bible studies, but they might really be open to leading a faith-sharing group, you know, in their apartment with 4 friends.
Lowney points out that even the Pope is encouraging an attitude of innovation within the Catholic Church. The Pope took his own advice recently at the annual TED conference by appearing on screen as one of the speakers. As he talked to tech company founders, artists, and cultural leaders, he surprised his audience by using modern tools of the digital age to reach them.
Come sarebbe bello se alla crescita delle innovazioni scientifiche e tecnologiche corrispondesse anche una sempre maggiore equità e inclusione sociale. Come sarebbe bello se, mentre scopriamo nuovi pianeti lontani, riscoprissimo i bisogni del fratello e della sorella che mi orbitano attorno.
Lowney feels this strategy is universal and can revitalize any church, no matter the belief set or denomination. For it to work, however, he stresses it can't just be from the top down, even if it's the Pope who calls for change. It requires everyone to lead. Caitlin Burke, CBN News, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Up next, we're sitting down with gospel recording artist Jacqueline Carr. She's talking about a winning season. Time now to head to Studio 5 so we can share some music from a gospel recording artist with a sincere message about winning. Jacqueline Carr is what's playing in my ear.
You will win.
Sitting here with Jacqueline Carr, author.
Yeah.
Now, author. I remember when you posted you were going to write a book. Well, now the book is done.
Yes,
and the title of it is?
You Will Win.
That's your theme right now.
Yes, absolutely.
Tell me about the book. I know it's meant to inspire.
In this book, I wanted to give us information that we can apply to just about any situation in our lives and getting people to understand that you deserve to win in every area. I don't believe that we're supposed to win in one area and we're losing in the rest. And so I teach you how to win in your health, win in your finances, winning in business, winning in your dreams, teaching you how to not just settle with just being a dreamer, but to actually work on your dreams and bringing it to pass and not being moved by different challenges that we face on our winning journey, because we face them, but at the end of the day, you have to learn how to push and press beyond all of that, because when you think about the people who invented the radio, invented the refrigerator, invented all of these different things, if they had stopped, you know, based off their challenges, we wouldn't have the things that we have on today. So that lets you know that it does not matter what you face, you can press, you can push, because there's a winner in you. And when it's meant for you to be successful, it's going to happen.
You write about this, but you also sing about this.
Yes.
The single from your current album, it was at #1 five weeks on Billboard?
Yes, You Will Win.
Well,
yes.
It was #1 for
number one. Yes.
How did that feel? I know you've already had a #1, but you know.
It feels amazing just to know that people are being, it just means that people are being impacted in a positive way. I remember saying that all I wanted to do was to inspire people and to give them hope, and being able to do that through my music, through my books, through my speaking, anything that I do, it just feels great. And so to hear that, it was just an amazing feeling.
People will hear this wisdom come from you. Where did that come from? How do you know about failing and winning? What happened in your life?
Well, definitely experiences on my journey, my family and I told people, because I have a song called Greater Is Coming, and actually it is our testimony. I experienced my shaking, beating, and the pressing very young, but and I understand why now. And so, and then also having the right foundation. My parents, they taught me the right values, positive values that has helped me grow on today. And then I also learned by watching other people, you know, and knowing what to do, what not to do, and different things like that. And I think that helps a lot as well.
You're very young. You speak to a very young generation, of course.
Yes.
Watching what's unfolding in our world, especially among younger people, how does that impact you?
I like to show people that you don't have to be 50 or 40 or 30 to blaze the trail. You can start out young. And so being able to spread that message and let young people know that you were born to be successful. Great is not something that you have to become. You are already great. All you have to do is tap into your gifts and tap into that which it is that you were created to do, so that you can be an inspiration to people all across the world. And now I get a lot of young people sharing their testimony of how my ministry has inspired them to become better.
One of the lessons I heard you share just this morning was stop, drop, and roll. What's that principle in your life?
It's actually in my book. And a lot of times, and it goes back to the challenges that I was speaking of, and we experienced fire. But in school, they taught us that in a fire drill, that when we do experience fire, to stop, drop, and roll. And so in our natural circumstances, when you experience different challenges and things working against you, because we will have that, but you have to learn how to stop, drop on your knees and pray, and you roll on. You keep moving on because you know that everything is taken care of. And again, if you were born to be successful, it's going to happen anyway.
The single You Will Win and the book You Will Win from Jacqueline Carr are both available right now wherever you purchase your music and your books. Stay with us. We'll be right back. CBN International is using the internet to teach the gospel and reach people in China. China now has access to a video platform called 7G. The videos provide new content each day, including testimonies and interviews with Chinese Christians. 7G also uses social media to reach new audiences. Nearly 7,000 people are watching each day. Between this new platform and the Chinese version of YouTube, there have been more than 88 million video views of the good news of the gospel. Well, the weekend is here, and if you want to head to the movie theaters this weekend, our friends at Focus on the Family have a review of Movie Rampage.
I rescued George. He was 2 years old. George never would have survived on his own.
He definitely trusts you.
In the movie Rampage, genetic experimentation on board a space station causes an explosion that sends capsules of genetic-altering stuff back to Earth. And wouldn't you know it, a couple of these capsules land at the San Diego Zoo. There, friendly gorilla George gets exposed.
Is it me or is he considerably bigger?
No, he's definitely bigger.
Not only did George and 2 other animals grow to 18-wheeler proportions, they become extremely aggressive and extremely destructive.
Is there something in the river?
Primatologist Davis Okoye has raised George since birth, and the two have become friends. Now, though, friendly George is anything but. As the 3 raging monsters tear across North America, Okoye must find an antidote if he's going to halt a global catastrophe and hopefully save his primate pal. Rampage is one of those films that's about as likely as your pet dog writing a movie script. Or maybe that's what happened here. On the positive side of the ledger, let's just say Okoye is deeply motivated to save George and stop the mayhem. But that good guy side of him doesn't stop him from cussing like a sailor. About 24 harsh profanities mar this film, as well as several obscene gestures from an otherwise friendly ape. Although not overly gory, the body count here is quite high. Because of all this, I can only give Rampage 2.5 whirling helicopters out of 5 for family friendliness. For an in-depth review of the film, be sure to check out PluggedIn.com. Plugging you into the movies, I'm Bob Waliszewski for Focus on the Family's Plugged In Movie Review.
Time now for your Friday Faithful, and today I'd like to leave you with this thought. What is in your hand may not seem like much, but remember, little is much in the hands of God. So give it all to Him, your time, your talent, your heart. Give it to Him and watch Him do what seems to you may be impossible. With that word, we want you to make this a fabulous Friday. Remember, you can always find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com. And of course, we love hearing from you. Hope you'll take the time to let us know what you think about the stories you've seen here today, or any day for that matter. You can do that by emailing newswatch@cbn.com. And of course, you can reach us on Facebook, Twitter, as well as Instagram. Once again, we thank you so much for your company. Have a fabulous Friday and a wonderful weekend. Remember, the news continues 24/7 at cbnnews.com. We'll see you right back here, same time on Monday. Goodbye, everybody, and God bless.